Hello, Savvies. Happy Tuesday. I hope that y'all are having an amazing day. Welcome to our TVS, the Virtual Savvy channel. We go live every Tuesday at noon. I'm super excited and honored to be stepping in for Abby today. So I also brought with me a special guest who I will introduce in just a second. But as you are joining me, let me know in the comments that you can hear me and see me okay. I want to make sure that all tech is working before we jump into our topic today of accountability and where to find it. As y'all are jumping in and joining us, happy Tuesday. I was driving my kids to school today and listening to the radio, and somebody pointed out what an epic Tuesday it is today. Did y'all catch this? So it's, of course, Tuesday, the day of the week, but it's also 2 for the month of February, 2222. Erica, it is the most epic Taco Tuesday ever. So happy 2/22/22 on a Tuesday, and I hope you all celebrate it in some form or fashion. Tonight is actually date night for Joe and I, and so I think we may just have to go and get tacos and
maybe a
margarita.
It might be a lucky day.
It might be not a bad idea. So happy Tuesday. Hey, Jamie, so glad that you're here with us. Okay, we're talking all about accountability today, what that looks like inside of your business, and then where to find it. Erica, why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what your position is at TVS, a little bit about yourself, your journey, anything else you want to share?
Okay. I'm Erica Fullerton. I am the Savvy Circle specialist here at the Virtual Savvy. So I started back when the Virtual Savvy had the boot camp. I started in the boot camp, grew my business, ended up with an agency. We currently still run the agency. I have a team of 15 women that work with me, and we serve primarily small businesses and network marketers. And now I'm with the Virtual Savvy also. So I think did I cover it all?
I think so. When did you join TVS? How long have you been at TVS now?
Since January. So it's been a little over a month.
So you fit right in. Like, you just joined the team and it was like you were part of the family the whole time. Now, you mentioned your position as Savvy Circle specialist. Tell those who may not know, what is Savvy Circle here at TVS?
So Savvy Circle is like our next level group coaching. So once your business is up and running and you're doing really well and you're ready to scale and hit that next level in your business, Savvy Circle is the perfect program for you. We help you do that and scale and be able to really hit the next level of your business. So yeah, it's a great group. We have got great people in it. I love it.
That's so cool. And if I have a team member with me, if you can drop the link to join the waitlist, maybe you are joining us today and you have an established business and you are actively growing it and you're wanting to learn how to scale your business. We open the doors to Savvy Circle later in the spring, so you may want to get on that waitlist. So if I have a team member that can go and grab that, stick it in the comments, that would be awesome. Let me introduce myself as well. If you've not seen my face before, my name is Rachel Dorsey. I am the Senior Director of Product here at the Virtual Savvy. I too took our signature course, the Savvy System. I joined in 2017. Took the course, started my own business, established myself as an executive virtual assistant supporting high-level coaches and course providers. And then my dream client, Abby Ashley, was hiring. I applied to join the team as the executive assistant and joined in 2018. I've held several positions here at TVS as we have grown, and I've landed in my seat as the Senior Director of Product. And I support all of our products, my amazing directors and my amazing specialists, Erica included. And I just absolutely love supporting our virtual assistants and online service-based providers inside of our different products. So welcome. Let's talk about accountability, shall we? Before we kind of jump into our topics, I want to ask you guys a quick question. And this is interactive. We're going to have some Q&A later on at the end. But I would love for you guys to interact with us as we're talking through accountability today. My first question to you is, what does accountability even mean to you? We use that buzzword in essence throughout different conversations. We use it here at TVS all the time. But what does that really look like and mean to you when you hear that word of accountability? And we're going to share our definitions too. I'll go first, Erica, and then I'll have you jump in and share what your thoughts about accountability looks like. But for me, accountability looks like having somebody specific that I've kind of assigned to that role. They may know that. I want them to know that, but somebody specific that I can go to talk to about my business. And that's what accountability means to me. And it also means that person who I have chosen as my accountability partner is somebody that I can trust. Because inside of that accountability, it's not always going to be easy and fun, celebratory conversations. Sometimes those conversations are going to be me admitting my wrong, or also maybe me not knowing my wrong, and my accountability partner can point those out to me. But I trust them to have those conversations. So drop in the comments what accountability means to you, and I may pull some of them up as we're talking. But Erica, what does accountability mean for you? What does that look like?
I think for me, accountability is just kind of like doing what I say I'm going to do, being responsible for myself, being able to work towards my goals and recognizing what I need personally to be able to get there and achieve them.
Yeah, so good. And what I love about having this conversation with Erica is that her and I are different in personalities, and that's going to come out as we kind of chat through accountability more. But I am very much a relational one-on-one type of person and like that accountability. Notice my example and my definition. And as we talk through, you're going to see that Erica's a little bit different. And it's really important to pull out here that accountability is going to look different for all of us. It's not going to look the same. I love here what Kiki says is accountability means commitment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And it can look different for all of us inside of that commitment. Jamie says accountability is everything. Sometimes I'm more likely to action things if I know someone else sees my potential, even if I don't see it yet. Trust. I think that is one of the biggest pieces of accountability, no matter what method or what it looks like inside, is that it's something or someone that you trust. Okay, let's talk a little bit about why it's important too. Erica, what are one of the big things or big reasons you see that accountability is important inside of us having our own businesses?
I think it's important because it keeps things moving ahead. Like you're not making progress if you don't have any accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps the momentum going. And as we talk about later in a few minutes about like, what are those specific ways that you can have accountability inside of your business? You want that way to push you forward, whether it's a conversation, whether or not it's maybe an asset like a goals sheet or a journal or something like that. You want that accountability to keep you moving forward, to keep you checking those boxes, goals that you're achieving, conversations that you're having, whatever that looks like. But it keeps the momentum going. I also think that accountability can help you actually make progress inside of your business.
Yeah.
By having those conversations. And Erica, what are your thoughts about this in as far as progress and accountability? How do they match together? How do they work together?
I think that they help you be able to like see the progress and see where you're going. So if you don't have accountability and you're not making any progress, you also can't see whether you're making progress or whether or not you're not making progress because you're not holding yourself accountable. So there's really no like checkpoints for you to check where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether it's a person or if it's something that you're using individually, you have to have those checkpoints along the way so that you can see the progress that you're making. It also helps you see the flip side, right? Like it helps you see the progress that you may not be making. And that's where the trust factor really comes in, right? Like being able to trust that accountability that you have in your life to point out those places where you're not progressing or point out those areas that you have made a mistake or that you missed something. I think that that's so important. I think we might fear that sometimes, right? Like hearing that we missed something or that we didn't see that never feels good, but it's so important for us to see that so that we can move forward, so that we can check those boxes, and so that we can keep the momentum going. Again, pointing back to the progress and ways to improve, I want you guys to be thinking about what are some ways that you can specifically set up those checkpoints inside of your accountability? Checkpoints for celebrating. checkpoints for achieving those goals, checkpoints for fill in the blank, whatever that looks like for you and how that looks like. And we're going to talk about too, like what are specific ways that you can actually have accountability in your business. Erica, do you have any other thoughts about why accountability is important inside of our businesses?
I think those were my big ones, just being able to see where you can grow and improve, I think is huge. Like as humans, I think there's always room for improvement in any aspect of our lives. So our business is no different. There's always going to be an area where you can grow and improve. And I think it's important to recognize that. That way you always are moving forward.
Yeah. And I also want to pull this out too. Accountability isn't always comfortable, but I think it's a necessity. I know that for me, as I was starting my own business, I had no earthly idea what I was doing. I'd never done that before. Yes, I had worked. I had a job, previous positions that I held, but I've never done like growing my own business before. And so I really needed that intentional accountability inside of my business growth, inside of my business journey. And I found that inside of the investment, the investment that I made inside of Savvy system. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what can accountability actually look like? Let's talk about first of what it's not. Okay. It's not cookie cutter. What do we mean by that, Erica? What would cookie cutter accountability look like?
It would look like it's the same for everybody. And that's not the case. I think even like you and I talking about what accountability means to us shows that, right? Like we both view it very differently. So I think it's important to recognize that it is different for everybody and everybody's going to feel held accountable in different ways.
Absolutely. And that's what's so beautiful about the world that we live in, right? Like we're all different human beings. We all think different. We all function different. We all react different. And here in our circle here at TVS, we're all creating different businesses. We may be creating businesses with similar services, similar products, any of the above, but we're different in how we deliver those because we're different human beings. And so having that accountability is going to look different for all of us in different forms, in different methods, and how we actually build it out inside of our business. And something else to think about is it can change. Like you may start having accountability this one particular way, but as you launch and then grow and scale your business, you may find that accountability actually needs to pivot and change along with you, alongside your journey. Something that I wanted to chat with you too, Erica, about in accountability is because we're so different, we have to find that accountability that works best for us. And what are some of the things that we need to like internally think through when we're thinking of trying to find that right accountability?
I think we need to know like what motivates us, what challenges us, the things that encourage us. I think those are all really important factors because you can't hold yourself accountable if you don't know what those different things are to you.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So chat time in the chat box. I want you to tell me something that motivates you. It could be something monetary. It could be reaching that next income level. It could be some big celebration that you have in mind that you're working towards, that trip, that new accessory, whatever it is, right? What motivates you? Maybe it's a lifestyle change. Eric and I were chatting earlier today about like wanting to actually hire help inside of our homes to help take care of our homes. Like maybe that's something that motivates you. You want to get to that point. So it could be something monetary. It could be something else. It could be signing that new client. Every time you sign that client, it motivates you to get out there and find another client. But I want you to think about what actually motivates you inside of your business. Here's some that are coming through. Resources to travel around the world. I have met some amazing people inside of our TVS audience who are doing just that. Like they're using their ability to run their businesses and travel in an RV, or I know one that travels to a location, stays there for a while and goes somewhere else. Absolutely. Karen says the big one, freedom, like just having freedom to make those choices, right? To go when you want to, where you want to, all of those different things. Maria, so many good things coming through. Lifestyle change for sure. Stepping away from my desk while growing the business by scaling 100%. Kelsey says, more flexible lifestyle and teaching people what I know. I love the aspect of teaching. That's one of my favorite things that I get to do in my position here at TVS, is to be a partner with the team in teaching, whether it's, a live like this or whether it's inside of our individual products. But I love that you guys are recognizing things that motivate you. Erica, what are some of the things inside of your business that you have found that have motivated you, and thinking back all the way to when you first started your business?
So when I first started my business, my big thing was being able to help others. That was the thing that motivated me. So getting new clients was super motivational because I knew I was taking things off of their plate. Then it grew into, as I was building a team, allowing these women to be able to come into a business where they could leave their full-time jobs and do this full-time. That was a huge motivator to me. Like, I needed to keep getting clients. That way they could leave their jobs. That was just really fulfilling to me. I do also like to throw in some monetary things every now and then. Like when I had my first 5K month, I told myself I could get an iMac. And so I did. And that was super exciting for me too. So, it changes. I'm not always motivated by one specific thing and different goals. Sometimes I have different things that I'm working toward.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what I really want you guys to pull out from today's conversation is there is no one way to do accountability. It's going to look different for everybody. You've got to really kind of reflect and figure out what is it that will help you to stay accountable. And we're going to talk about in just a second those different ways. But what does that look like, and what motivates you, and how do you need to formulate what your accountability looks like? And your rewards and your celebrations and your methods of motivation may look completely different from the person next door to you or in another country, any of the above. You get to build out that accountability within your business that works the best for you. Just like Erica said, the things that motivate you, the things that challenge you, right? I want you to think too, like, what are ways of accountability that not always feel comfortable? For those of us who may be introverts and like to just stay in our bubble, we may think, you know what, I'm just going to have a goal sheet and I'm just going to cross those off as I go and not have a conversation with anybody and not interact. But I actually want to challenge you to push past that and look for ways that you can maybe connect with somebody that you can trust to keep you accountable. What are ways that can challenge you, push you just a little bit? Because that's where you're going to find the growth. I think so often growth happens when we're uncomfortable. This was not planned, but this is totally coming to my mind, Erica. So go with me. This was an analogy that I heard once about a seed. So if you take a seed, pick your plant, doesn't matter. Okay. You take your seed and you plant it inside of the dirt. Okay. You give it water and you give it sunshine. What we don't actually see is the energy and the work that's happening underneath that soil for that seed to break through and sprout above the ground. That takes so much energy for that to happen. And then once it does, as long as we continue to feed it and water it and give it sunshine, the growth is going to be exponential. But the energy that it actually takes to break out of that initial seed takes so much work. And we have to be willing to do that, be a little uncomfortable, work a little hard, keep ourselves accountable so that we can sprout and then grow and then scale within our business. And I was just thinking about these little plants that I have sitting on my windowsill downstairs. I just want them to sprout. I just want them to grow. So let's go. Let's keep going. Okay. Let's talk about types of accountability, Erica. What are some ways or one way that we can have specific accountability inside of our business? What can that look like?
You could have like a partner that you have accountability with, someone else that's also running a business, maybe a similar business to you, maybe someone that's even like going through Savvy System with you, just somebody that you can continue to hold each other accountable.
Absolutely. So just one single person. Yep. Do you think, Erica, that it has to be somebody that understands what you're doing and what you're going through?
I think that is completely up to each individual person. I know, like for me, I don't need that. I can tell somebody, hey, I'm trying to hit this goal. Like, help me get there. Like sometimes I'll tell my husband, like, this is what I'm working toward. hold me accountable, make sure I do it. And he may not have any idea what exactly it is that I'm working toward or how I'm planning on getting there, but just him like asking me about it and checking in is enough for me. But I think for other people, they need somebody that can really ask those deeper questions and really dive into what it is that they're doing. So I think that's more of a personal preference, but I think it works either way.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. I think that so often, sometimes we think that our accountability partner has to be somebody that 100% understands everything that we're going through. And I think that there is value with having an accountability partner, one individual who really does understand and can walk through the journey with you. But I think that there's also some powerful things that can happen when you have an a partner who can ask you the questions that you wouldn't have thought of, or that somebody walking down the similar journey with you would have thought of, because they're looking at it from a totally different perspective. Marissa says that she's one of those people that needs someone to ask the deeper questions. And so I love that you recognize that, Marissa. And it's really identifying who can be that accountability for you, whether it's a single person, or I'm going to say the next way that you can find accountability is maybe in a relationship. So this could be a friend, close friend. It could be your spouse. It could be your partner. But anybody like close knit in your circle of relationships that you're talking to on a regular basis, that you have that deep rooted relationship with, I think can also be a really good accountability partner. But on the flip side, they also may not be the best accountability partner, right, Erica? Like, why would that kind of person may not be the best kind of accountability for somebody?
I think like one thing that comes to mind is if you already have this relationship with somebody, sometimes it can be hard for them to push you out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you already kind of have those boundaries of the relationship set. And maybe they don't want to push you too hard. Or if you start resisting and saying like, oh, I'm just, I've given up on that goal, I'm not going to do it. They might be like, oh, okay. Instead of like, no, you need to do it. So I think that can sometimes get in the way just because you already have that relationship built and you guys already treat each other a certain way.
That's so good. I didn't even think about that. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Like, you want, again, somebody that you can trust, that's going to keep you accountable, ask you those questions, but also push you just a little bit out of your comfort zone and ask you those questions that may not always feel great to answer and admit to, right? Yeah. Okay, this one I know, Erica, is really big for you. Not for me, but in our conversation of talking through. Another way that you can be accountable is just by yourself, right? Yeah. What does that look like? Like, talk us through what that looks like and feels like.
Like for me, I'm easily self-motivated. So it's easy for me to set a goal for myself and have kind of like check-ins. Like I know here's my big goal and here are the few steps that I need to take to get there. And it's easy for me to kind of do a self check-in and say like, okay, by the end of this week, I need to have this thing accomplished. And then by the end of the month, this needs to be accomplished. And that's easy for me to kind of like do that and set those goals and know that I will hit them, because I have some sort of motivator to get to the end of that goal. And that's enough for me. It's not always enough for everybody. That's not always something that works for everyone, but for me, that works really well.
Yeah. And it could be taking that goal sheet and posting it on the wall so that you're seeing it all the time, so that you're staring at it. You're keeping accountable to those goal sheets. I know that we have that inside of the Savvy system and even Savvy Circle that's built out to set those monthly goals for yourself, and putting them in front of you can keep you accountable. Maybe it's a journal. Maybe you're a journaler and you visit that journal on a regular basis and you revisit that journal. Like, that can keep you accountable for what you're processing through, what you're thinking through, the challenges that you're facing, the victories that you're having. Like, any of that can be walked through inside of a journal. So sometimes self-accountability can be really, really powerful for you. Again, just making sure somehow that it's pushing you and encouraging you past those goals and helping you to see not only what you're accomplishing and the progress and the growth that you're seeing, but the progress and the growth that you're not seeing, right? Because that's the piece of accountability that pushes us forward. Okay, so we've talked about single partner accountability. We've talked about somebody like in a close relationship. Maybe it's a spouse, partner, really close friend. We've talked about ourself, like using ourself as accountability. And the last one that we're going to talk through is an accountability group. Okay. That would obviously mean more than you and one other person. Okay, it's forming some kind of accountability conversation between a group of you that are walking through. And this could look a myriad of different ways. It could look like maybe a networking group that you attend on a regular basis of business owners. That can be a great way to keep yourself accountable. I have a close friend that does that. She has a networking group that she goes to, and they gather together just to talk about what they're doing inside of their businesses and how they're growing and changes that are happening. So it could look like that. And I know too, we have accountability inside of both of Savvy System and Savvy Circle. Erica, walk us through, what does that look like inside of each of those products?
I think like if you're in either one of those, you kind of have assignments within them, right? So for example, like if you're in Savvy System, you'll often see people within their group shouting out what they've decided to set their price at, or showing their monthly goals. That way everybody knows what it is that they're working toward. Savvy Circle works very similarly. People will share what they're working on, and once they've completed an assignment, they'll submit that for everybody to be able to view. So I think that's really great because you've already got this built-in accountability group, because it's a bunch of people that are working through the exact same thing as you are. And their goals might not be exactly the same as yours, but they're very aligned with yours. They're building a business, they're scaling a business, they're in the online world. Like it's all very closely tied together. So they're often really great accountability partners for you because they totally get what you're going through.
Yeah, and we see such value for accountability that we've built it into those products. Like Erica was talking about, Savvy System, we have an accountability call. We encourage you to post and look for accountability partners inside of the course. And then Savvy Circle being a group coaching program, we have those individualized coaching calls that are happening for you based on where you are in scaling your business. So we see the value inside of accountability. Maybe you're here and you're not part of our products yet. Totally cool. Like you can find accountability inside of other groups that you're in. We love celebrating inside of our Virtual Assistant Savvy's Facebook group, sharing those savvy wins, sharing what you're accomplishing inside of your business, as well as questions that you have. Like as you're walking through starting this own business, there are scary steps that you have to take and things that you may not completely understand. And that's why we have that space. It's a safe space to ask those questions and get the support that you need, as well as celebrate those wins that you're seeing inside of your business. So just a quick refresher. Okay. We have a single partner. Okay. Somebody that you just choose and you are accountable to them on a regular basis. Again, mapping out what that accountability looks like. Do you need to have a regular check-in? Is it an email? Is it a text message? Is it a Zoom chat? What does that look like? What do you need as an individual to stay accountable? Okay, maybe that single person is the second one in a close relationship with you, spouse, partner, friend, any of those. But the caveat to that one is make sure they're going to push you outside of your comfort zone. Because like Erica said, sometimes they're more apt not to, because of that relationship that you're in. Okay. And the third one Erica chatted about was yourself, like being accountable to yourself, whether it be through goals that you're setting on a sheet or a journal or what other ways that you are checking off that you are meeting those things that you want to. And then the last one is an accountability group. Several of you gathering together and chatting through. It could be inside of a Facebook group. It could be inside of a product like we have here at TVS for Savvy System and Savvy Circle. And it could be another group that you may decide to put together of like-minded individuals that are working towards the same goal. I love it. Okay, question time in the chat. Erica, let's ask our people. Thinking outside of business, okay? Because that's kind of the main topic that we're talking about, okay? Thinking outside of business, what are other areas that you can see inside of your life that you need accountability? And Erica, we'll kind of go back and forth and see if we can name some, but I would love to hear from those that are watching with us today. Like, what are some of the other areas in your life that you may need accountability? Let us know in the comments. Erica, putting you on the spot, what is an area in your life outside of your business that you need accountability?
The big one for me right now is taking care of myself. Like I used to be really good at exercising daily and just taking that time for myself. And this year has been, I have not done that. So I'm actually, one of my family members and I are holding each other accountable to exercise daily and just do something to get ourselves moving to take care of ourselves, because that's not an area I can self-motivate. That is definitely an area I need someone to push me.
Yeah, and that's so important that you brought that up. Like, it's not always going to look the same for every area of our life. So inside of Erica's business, like self accountability was really helpful for her, right? But like you just mentioned, inside of those health goals, like it may not look the same. You may actually need somebody to drill harder. Okay, so personal health goals, getting healthy, exercising, wellness and fitness and weight loss, self-care, work-life balance. Awesome. Okay, here are some other ones that Erica and I chatted through earlier. We mentioned fitness, relationships. Like maybe you just need accountability in how you're communicating in relationships, or steps that you need to take to grow your business or your relationships, whatever that looks like. Okay, so relationships may be an area. I know that one of my accountability partners, I don't think I've labeled her as that, but we keep each other accountable as far as our marriages go. Like we encourage each other in how we're loving our husbands and how we are growing in our relationships together. And it's always a sweet time of conversations for the both of us. So relationships. What is another area we haven't mentioned yet, Erica?
Like taking care of our homes, just like,
Yes.
Cleaning and doing like the important things that need to happen inside your home that sometimes you just let go.
Absolutely. We were talking in one of our Slack channels a couple weeks ago about meal planning, right? And getting ideas from our team. And there were some great ideas in there. Maybe we could do a live on meal planning. Like keeping ourselves accountable with taking care of our family and our home and meal planning. And like we said, maybe it's taking care of laundry or cleaning, any different ways. Now, that may not be somebody personal that you're keeping accountable. Maybe that's more of a checklist or a goal list or something like that that you are self accountable to. Again, finding those different areas. And I think, another one that I wrote down was budgeting.
Yes.
Like finances. Mm-hmm. Again, it could be you and your spouse, you and your partner, keeping each other accountable. We have monthly budget meetings between my husband and I where we actually sit down and talk about our money. Not always fun conversations, don't always go as planned, but keeping ourselves accountable with how we're spending money inside of that relationship. Maybe you are able to hire somebody that can keep you accountable inside of your finances and your planning, whatever that looks like. Okay, so fitness, relationships, health, eating, self-care, our lifestyle, budgeting. I think I saw all of those inside of our comments too. So accountability doesn't just have to be your business. It can be other areas of life. And accountability doesn't have to look the same for every single one of those. Erica, let's talk through how things look different. Out of those lists of things, what are some of the ways that you keep yourself accountable or use accountability in those areas of your life?
So like budgeting, for example, that I need my husband to help keep me accountable on. We do that as a team. So that's one. Like I said, fitness, I do that with a family friend. So that's something that I need someone else to help keep me accountable with. We do like meal planning and stuff as a family. We kind of like all try to keep each other accountable. And that's one that we're always growing and working on because we're not great at it in this house. So knowing that and recognizing that is, I think, important too. And that's part of accountability, right? Like recognizing when you need to make improvements. Really, I think the only area of my life that I can hold myself personally accountable is within my business. I think every other area is really an area that I need an outside influence to help keep me accountable.
Yeah. I'm going to give away a secret. I may regret this, but that's fine. So I have been using my team here at TVS, my product team, to keep me accountable, kind of self accountable, but yet using the team that I have to help keep myself accountable for taking my lunch break. Like so often it's really easy to sit and just work because I want to check those things off. I want to get those things done. And then I don't take care of myself. So I sit for too long. I don't get up. I don't eat. et cetera, et cetera. So I've been using my group, my team, to help me stay accountable by just letting them know I'm on lunch. And so if they see that Rachel's taking a lunch today, good for Rachel, right? Like, again, not needing them to ask me, not needing them to follow up with me. I just need to have that check-in, that way to keep myself accountable. So I am taking care of myself and taking my lunch. I love this. Frederica says, my dog is my accountability for waking up in the morning, right? Like, so true. And if we train that dog, or the dog trains us to get up earlier so that we are up and moving and starting our day, that can be super, super helpful. I love that. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to chat through before we do some Q&A today is, with accountability, sometimes it requires us to be a little uncomfortable. And we talked about it already today, like getting out of our comfort zone, finding accountability that pushes us and makes us a little uncomfortable, finding that accountability that helps us sprout right out of that ground and helps us start to grow. So what are some practical ways, practical things that we can talk through today that can help us push past that fear and also that temptation of comparison? So Erica, what's the first thing that we need to think about when it comes to getting over that fear of accountability?
I think for me, it goes back to like action over perfection, like just doing one little thing that puts you there, like taking that first step, I think is the hardest. And then once you've done that, you're like, okay, I'm here. I can take another step now. So I think just like getting over that first little hump is super important.
Absolutely. And taking that one step, because once you take that first step, the second step is a lot easier. Mm-hmm. So what does that first step look like? Maybe that first step looks like contacting that person that you have in mind that's going to be the best accountability partner for you. And you just step out and say, hey, I'm starting this business. Here's what I'm doing. I need you to help me XYZ. I need you to check in with me on a regular basis. Can I come to you and just kind of be a sounding board, whatever that looks like, if that's the method? Okay, maybe you're going to be self-accountable. Okay, so taking that first step, creating that goal sheet and posting it for somebody else to see, or sharing it with somebody else to see. So see what we did? We took something that is self-accountable, really easy in and of itself to create those goals. Yes, it's hard to create goals, but in and of itself, right? But we push ourselves just a little bit out of our comfort zone and we share it with somebody else. Okay, so taking that first step, action over perfection, is one of our values here at TVS. It's not always going to be perfect, y'all, and that's okay. Just take the action, take that first step, because the second step is going to be a little bit easier to take, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And that's where we see growth. There's growth inside of the uncomfortable. Okay. And then as we were chatting about what we were talking about today, Erica had this amazing analogy. And if you ever have heard us talk for any amount of time, we will often mention the phrase of keeping your blinders on. When we are keeping ourselves accountable, when we are putting ourselves out there, it's so easy to get trapped into the temptation of comparing. Her business looks like that. His business looks like that. Well, my branding is nothing compared to that. Fill in the blank with a scenario. Okay, Erica, talk to us a little bit more about what's that analogy that you have about those blinders that's so good?
Yeah, something that helps me a lot is thinking about horses in a horse race and how they wear their blinders because all they're focused on is the track ahead of them. They're focused on their lane, their track, and getting to the end of it. They can't see where the people next to them, the horses next to them are, because it doesn't matter. They're focused on themselves, and that's it. And then they come in whatever place they come in, but they can't see the people beside them. I like to use the same thing in my business. It doesn't matter where the person next to me is. It matters where I'm going. Yeah. Their business doesn't impact mine. And just because they're ahead of me right now doesn't mean that they'll be ahead of me 6 months from now. If I just stay focused on me, I will get to that finish line. So that's something I really like to remind myself of.
Yeah, keep your blinders on. Everybody's path, although very similar in what we're trying to do as virtual assistants or online service-based providers, like we're trying to launch, grow, and scale a successful business, right? So we're all on that same kind of trajectory, that same kind of path, same like the horses. They're going to start at the gate and they're going to end at the finish line. Okay. But they're all going to go at a different pace, at a different path. Their jockey is going to react different. Like all of them are very different. They have to keep their blinders on and focus to where they're going to be. Because if they're distracted by the horse on the left or the right, that's the right, that's the left. You know what I mean? Okay. Like if they're distracted, it can cause them to trip up and lose momentum in going forward. I think that there's great power in accountability, whether it's one person or several people or inside of a course, inside of a community like we have here at the Virtual Savvy. It's an amazing place to be and stay accountable, but it's so easy to get trapped in the comparison game of look at them and then comparing yours to them. We're all different. We may be providing similar services, but we provide them different because we are different as individuals. Embrace your journey. Embrace the very next step that you have to take. Yes, Frederica, I love what you're saying. We have different priorities, why, and goals, so we cannot compare with someone else. Absolutely. But we cannot deny that it's so easy, right, to get trapped in that comparison. So put those blinders on. And we could have a whole nother conversation of what those blinders need to look like for us, how we need to set those boundaries, how we need to withhold from certain conversations. Maybe we don't share our business with certain people because of the reaction that we might get. It could look any different way. So I love this conversation of accountability, Erica, and I love that we brought two different perspectives to the table. I think it was super, super helpful. Okay. Question time, shall we? If you guys have questions about accountability or really anything that you're working on inside of your business, we got some time and space to chat with you and answer those questions. So feel free to drop those in the comments. I saw a couple come through as well as some really good comments I wanted to bring forward. Stephanie says, I needed to hear this. Focus on my own lane and where I'm going. Stay focused on me. 100%, Stephanie. It's, again, so easy to look at our neighbor and look at the other person and see what they're doing and get distracted and get caught in imposter syndrome or the comparison game or shiny object syndrome. Again, these are all big conversations we could have outside. But if we keep those blinders on and we stay focused with where we are and put all the energy into our lane and our next steps and what we need to do, that's when we can make the most progress forward in our goals.
Yeah. Awesome. I think something else important to think about too, as I'm thinking about this, it just popped into my head. You might feel like you have so far to go to that finish line, right? Like you're so far away from it. Nothing's happening in your business, but you have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. And maybe tomorrow, this person's been watching you for a while now. And all of a sudden they want to book with you. They've made the decision that they're ready to jump into this business with you. And then maybe that's the person that starts sending you all these referrals. And now your business is booming. Yeah. So you can't compare to other people because you have no idea what's right around the corner for you.
Yeah. So good. Frederica says, I don't know how to be a good accountability partner. I will have my first call in a few days after 6 months. Frederica, it really goes back to self-inflecting. And maybe you don't need to have an actual physical partner, somebody that you're talking to, somebody that you're messaging back and forth. Maybe it really is you need to be like Erica and you need to be a self accountability partner, and that works totally fine. I just challenge you again to find those places. For Erica, where were some of those places that you were able to take that self-reflection but push it just a little bit farther out of your comfort zone?
I just, I kind of like to set goals for myself. So I'd have a financial goal in mind. I'd have how many clients do I want to have in mind? And then I'd attach those to like different rewards for myself. And that really helps. So, maybe once I hit this financial goal, I could take my family to Disney World, or this one would be this specific thing that I would get. And that really helped for me. Another thing I really like to do is have a vision board where I have these goals of like, what would my success bring to me? So maybe that's more vacations, maybe that's more money, maybe it's financial freedom, whatever that looks like on a board where I can look back at that every time I start to get a little down on myself and think like, man, it'd be a lot easier to give up than keep going. But then I look at that and I'm like, no, this is why I'm working toward what I'm working toward. I need to keep going down the path.
What are some of the things on your vision board?
So big vacations are on my vision board, mostly like tropical vacations, financial freedom. And another huge thing on my vision board is being able to pay for my kids to go to college if that's what they choose to do.
I love it. I love it. I need to do a vision board. I can remember the last vision board I made was actually when I was in high school, and I was saving up to buy a car. Like I was, working really hard and saving money to buy my own car. And I had a vision board in my room on my door of where I wanted to drive to, different cars. They were completely out of my price range. And I'm not going to tell you what those cars are because those will completely date me. But like I had that vision board, but that can be so powerful because it's a visual representation of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Why are you here? Like, why are you here today watching our live? Why are you working hard to be XYZ? Why are you working hard to starting this business? Why are you working hard to get this business started so you can quit your 9-to-5? Like really encapsulating those whys and putting them in a visual way can be really powerful and really helpful for your accountability. So many good comments. I don't see a lot of questions coming through, but I do want to Frederica, you're amazing. Thank you for joining us today. I love all your thoughts. The other can inspire us. You and the Savvy System are inspiring me a lot, but my goals are different from yours. And we are totally at another point of the business. Comparing yourself is not useful, 100%. And I think that, again, looking back at being in a course or in a community specifically for virtual assistants, we are all there with different goals, different intentions, different inspirations. And that's the beauty, right? That's the beauty of the course. It's the beauty of the community. But we have to be careful not to compare our goals, our inspirations, our visions to others because they're going to look completely different. But we can cheer each other on and encourage each other even though we are different. All right, here's a question from Kelsey. What is a realistic goal for starting and getting your first client? I'm a full-time teacher and mom, so can't devote too much time to it, but I'm giving it as much as I can. Erica, what are your thoughts? Realistic goal for starting and getting your first client?
I think I would first start with where you're at. Like, are you in Savvy System? You're trying to work through that. Are you not and you're just working on your own? Either way, I would figure out how much time realistically can you give each day or each week without taking away from your full-time job, without taking away from your family. What is a realistic amount of time that you can devote? And then I would block that into your days and just make sure that you know that you have this set time where this is what you're working on and you're moving forward in your business. And then once you've kind of figured that out, I'd set goals within that time. So, okay, I know I can devote 30 minutes a day to doing my business. So by the end of the week, I'm going to have a contract put together. And by this time, I'm going to have this done. And just setting those milestones for yourself. And then once you've got everything done up to the point of getting your first client, then maybe your goals become, I'm going to reach out to 5 people this week. I'm going to reach out to 10 businesses next week and see if I can present them with my portfolio and talk to them about virtual assisting services. Just so that you kind of have like attainable goals in mind that you can actually work toward.
Yeah. And you want to be really careful, Kelsey, about assigning like a particular time frame. I want you to assign like, okay, I want to have my first client in 1 month. Like that's what I'm really going to shoot for. And then using exactly what Erica said, like, where are you in life? Like how much time can you really put aside and dedicate to making that happen? But also realizing that life still happens. There are still going to be hiccups. There are still going to be pivots that you're going to have to make. And so being flexible, even within that time frame of your first goal. And again, it really looks different for all of us. So what my answer may be for me, and when I was starting my business, may be completely different for you. I want you to choose a goal that feels attainable, but also feels challenging. and doing the assessments, just like Erica said, of where you are, what you have going on, to decide what that could look like and what are the steps inside of that to be able to achieve that. Matthew asks, can I get some suggestions for lead generation as a virtual assistant? Erica, what are some great ways that you inside of your business have been able to get connections and leads?
So I think I'd start by figuring out who it is that your ideal client is. Once you know that, figure out where they are. Where are they hanging out? Are they in Facebook groups? Are they on LinkedIn? Like, where are these people? And then putting yourself in those areas. That way you can network and connect with those people, I think is the best. For me personally, I think a big one for my business has been referrals. I think once you get a client, provide them exceptional service. That way they want to refer you out to the other business owners that they know, because business owners network with other business owners and they will have people to refer you to. And asking for that referral, I think, is completely appropriate too. So once you get that client and you know you're doing great with them, tell them, hey, if you have any friends that are looking for a VA, I would love if you would send my information to them. And oftentimes they're like, yeah, I definitely know people. I'll send them your way. So for me, that's a really big one.
Absolutely. And we were chatting about this earlier too, because we have somebody inside of Savvy Circle that is just now getting an explosive trail of leads coming her way, right? And you have to be consistent. I think that's one of the biggest things inside of your lead generation, because you're going to feel like you are casting a really big net and pulling it back in, and there not being any fish in the net. Okay. You have to keep throwing it out. Maybe you throw it on this side, or you throw it on this side, or maybe you move the boat and throw it out somewhere else, right? Maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's Facebook groups, maybe it's just the circles that you have within your own community. I know one of our students inside of Savvy System and Savvy Circle, they have built and grown their business with people in their backyard, like literally in their same city. He's built a thriving business with just those. But you have to keep going. You have to keep having those conversations. You have to keep trying. And that's when you will figure out what works well. And sometimes, let's be real, it's a numbers game. It's going to take trial and error to get there. But if you are persistent, if you are consistent and keep pushing forward and keep trying, you will figure out what works best for you and where your ideal client may be.
Yeah. And something I would add to that too is, don't make the decision for a potential client. Like, there are often times that I've caught myself thinking like, oh, there's no way that person would need a VA, or there's no way that they would to hire me. But some of my best clients have been people that if I would have made the decision for them, I would have assumed that they didn't need a VA. And then they're my best paying clients, and they've stayed with me for the longest amount of time. So I would be really careful not to make that decision for them too.
That's a really big mindset. You know, like being able to embrace, okay, I'm going to have this conversation with my client. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show the value. I'm going to present who I am, what I do, and I'm going to fully let them make that decision. Right? Because if we get trapped into trying to make that decision for them, even trying to convince them, sometimes it just isn't aligned for a variety of different reasons. Maybe it's not aligned because of services or personality or money. Sometimes we try to make that decision for them by discounting our rates. Again, a whole nother conversation we won't necessarily open the door to, but like trying to make that decision for them just to get them to say yes. It may not actually be the right yes that you need to hear. Or maybe you think it's a no, like Erica was talking about. They couldn't possibly need a VA. They couldn't possibly want to hire me. And then you not go after it because you've made that decision for them and you don't even know what their decision would have been. Like, personally, that's one of the things that I had to work through when I was looking at applying for the position at TVS. And many of you have heard my story. Like, I waited until the very last minute to submit my application because I kept walking through, why would Abby want to hire me? Like, what value do I have to bring to the table? But then at the end of the day, I just had to put myself out there and let her make the decision. I'm really happy with her decision, and I'm really glad that that's how it panned out. But we can't make that decision for our clients. Yes. Oh, so many good thoughts. I don't see any other questions coming through that we haven't answered. I love what you said too, Frederico. Follow up is the key. The course is teaching me that. Never, ever give up. Follow up, follow up, follow up with those leads. If you don't hear right away, follow up again until you're comfortable with saying no, not right now, or they tell you no, right? But following up can be so important. And circling back to accountability, following up inside of your accountability, whether it's with yourself or with somebody or inside of a course or a group, following up and staying consistent inside of that accountability is going to be key to your growth and your progress in what you're trying to achieve. Okay, before we wrap up, Erica, let's ask a question. Y'all, I want to know in the comments, based on our conversation today about accountability, I want you to think we talked through why it's important. We talked about what specific ways you can find accountability. We talked about how you can overcome the fear and comparison with putting yourself out there for accountability. What is one specific way that you are going to implement accountability, or steps that you're going to take inside of your accountability for yourself inside of your business? I want you to let us know inside of the comments. What is one specific way that you are going to implement accountability inside of your business that you may not have thought of, and you're going to start doing that today? Erica, what was most helpful for you inside of today's conversation?
I think something I always find helpful is remembering that everybody kind of works a different way and different things work for different people. It can be really easy to kind of be set in like, this is how I do things and this is the best way to do it because it works for me. But I always like getting other people's ideas and mindsets, because sometimes maybe I'm not doing things the best way. And maybe I can say, you know what, it might not hurt to have an accountability partner that I can just check in with at the end of the week. And maybe I don't need a ton of hand holding from them, but it wouldn't hurt to have somebody else to kind of like bounce ideas off of and check in with each other. So I think that's the most helpful for me, just kind of seeing the different perspectives that I maybe didn't think about.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I also think, just for myself in preparing for today's live, like recognizing that accountability can exist in other areas of my life besides business. Like when we talk about accountability here at TVS, like we're automatically talking about building your virtual assistant business, but actually accountability can be applied in all areas of our life. And that was really helpful for me to recognize and see, and also identify ways that I need to stay accountable inside of my own life. Before we go, don't forget to drop in the comments, what specific way are you going to implement accountability inside of your business starting today? But Matthew asked the question, any free virtual assistant courses? Matthew, if you jump over to our website, we have a free training called Becoming a Booked Out Virtual Assistant. Team, you can drop the link down there in the comments. Is a great free training that you can take. And also just stay a part of our community, Matthew. Like, join our virtual assistant Savvies group. It's an amazing group where we have lives like this every week. We promote other information that we're putting out on side of our channels. So check that out, and check out our YouTube channel. We have amazing free resources and videos and trainings there as well. All right, guys, this has been fun. Erica, thanks for joining me today. Y'all go celebrate Tuesday, 2/22/22 in some amazing, fabulous way. I think
Tacos. Everybody needs tacos.
I think so. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later. Bye.